we're having this talk now about the issue of immigration related to the spread of extremism in Canada. This is the element that I find always gets kind of lost in a lot of the discussions about extremism in Canada, the Khalistani movement, Hamas, the IRGC, is that those of us in this room right now are the ones, even though you'll hear different things online, are the ones pushing most for changes to the immigration system. And if I could just pass it over to you guys, what do you think right now has been the biggest flaw in the immigration system when it comes to these issues?
You want to go first, or you want me to go?
Go first. You're older than me.
So I often use this line whenever I talk to people. I always say immigration is not a right, it is a privilege. There is a conceptual misunderstanding when it comes to the discussion over immigration across the world right now. And there seems to be a concept creep inside academia everywhere in the world, where they confuse what a human right is, and then they have empathy, which is a good thing. Empathy is not necessarily bad. You know, everybody is an immigrant in this country, some one way or the other. They just came in at a different point of time, and we're all from Africa. But the point being that, in my experience, as someone who observes this, immigration has been weaponized by specific groups in Canada. I'm not going to talk about some groups. I'll leave it to Salman. But the groups that I focus on are what we would call Khalistani affiliated, is what I would like to say. I call it Khalistani adjacent. So what happens is the cultural cachet of Canada today is victimhood. So if you are a victim, you somehow get the seat at a table. So how victimhood epistemology gets used by these people to then get immigration, which then leads to all sorts of absurdities, would be my opening remark. I think it's the hijacking of victimhood. There are genuine victims. I'll give you an example. I have personally helped 5 atheists from Pakistan. Yes, I'm an Indian, and I have personally helped 5 atheists from Pakistan to escape and get into some other country. Obviously, Pakistanis can't come to India, but I tried to send them to Western Europe, or in many cases over here too. And those were genuine cases. But as my friend Darshan Maharaja told me, that there is a rise of suddenly gay people in Canada. They have discovered that they are suddenly gay. So that's the problem with immigration as far as I'm concerned, and those will be my opening remarks. Over to you, Salman.
So immigration is not right, but it is a need for economical growth in Canada. So for having a sustainable economic growth, it's not too complicated, but I'm not going to teach economic 101 here. We need 1% of the population growth for having a prosperous economy. So according to the calculation, let's say that if Canada has 40 million population, we need almost 400,000 for having a sustainable economic growth. Okay, so, but legal immigration that helps economy is one thing. Bringing foreign conflict to Canada and having 2 million under student visa or on the other different situation in Canada is another thing. Unfortunately, under Justin Trudeau, our immigration system is not just broken, as you said that it has been weaponized by IRGC, by Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, by CCP, Chinese Communist Party, by Qatari government. I'm gonna say one thing to you guys. So in the engineering field, more than 50% of the PhD student in U of D belongs to one country. Name it. Iran. Okay, so it's gonna have some pushback from my own community, but I'm gonna say it. You think that with this exchange rate between US or Canadian dollar with the real or the money in Iran, who are these people can afford the tuition fee? You see? Then you ask yourself that, oh, what was the hate in campaign in U of T, or for example, in the other universities. So, system is broken, and in Canada, we don't have lack of law. We have too much law. We have too much restriction. We don't have willing to fix the situation. You know, we do not need Canadian Parliament to pass a new law banning IRGC commanders come here. We do not need Canadian Parliament to pass a law, for example, stop human rights violators from CCP coming to Canada. Unfortunately, 11 members of Parliament were working for Chinese Communist Party. You expect those people who are part of the problem to solve the problem? I don't think so. The situation is very, very deep.
Would you guys say that right now because we've just come off of the year 2023 and 2024, 2022, where you ended up having more than 1 million people enter the country
2
as...
million.
What?
2 million.
Yeah, you're right. But we had that many people enter the country in a very short period of time. Has it actually become effectively impossible to vet anybody at this point with the current rates?
Have you been to Brampton lately?
I try and stay away.
So I just want to give a tangible example of how immigration gets weaponized. How many of you remember the case of the alleged extremist that was nabbed by the Americans at the border, who was going to shoot people up in the synagogue? How many of you know about it? Yeah, so you know what was interesting? When I started reading a bunch of media coverage on that gentleman from Pakistan who came on a student visa, his refugee application was, I'm gay. How convenient. This is what I meant when there are suddenly gay people. You know, this is a real problem. You get, let's say what is our housing capacity? 246,000, right? The last I checked.
In terms of new housing builds per year, we've actually been going down. I believe it's only 220,000 per year.
You're breaking my heart.
I know.
So we're down 26,000 from where I thought we were. So, and then we're letting in 1 million people every year. So what do you think is going to happen? Housing costs are going to go up.
Inflation.
Right? Everything is going to go up. You're going to have basements where 25 kids are staying. And I need to make this point. Those students that come from India, they got duped by someone not in India, by someone in Canada. Let's get that very clear. India actually shut down a lot of immigration agencies that were doing fraudulent activities. I'll give you the latest news. Just last week there was a news that there was this guy who did this scam of 700 fake college letters. He runs away like this from Canada. Guess where he gets caught? In India. The Indian police catches him for the same crime. He's not come back to Canada. He's there. He got caught. He's going to be tried. It's going to go through a process. So there is a dark side to this immigration. I have personally helped to rescue, I'm not giving a count, but a few girls just in Brampton and Mississauga, where I paid out of my own pocket. I have heard horror stories of people from within the community. I'm not talking about outside, I'm talking about our own community, the Indian community. Nabbing passports, this is like 1980s Dubai, weirdo world, where passports are being confiscated. The girls are being told that you're flying to Vegas. Then those girls are taken to a strip mall. Then, when the work is done, those girls are brought back. I have personally paid money to some of those girls. I was like, just somehow get your passport back and run away. Just run. And they are now back in India, luckily. But this is a very serious problem. And what we have done is we have diverted the anger on the one who's actually the victim of this process. It's not like they came here swimming. You can't swim to Canada from India if you look at the map. It's kind of hard. You have to fly in. There are people sitting in Canada who, I don't want to take any names, who work with members of parliament. And I say this with full responsibility. They work with members of parliament who are in the con job. And then they pass these motions. I was a student in Canada in 2001. I was not allowed to work 40 hours. What are you here? Why are you working 40 hours if you're here to study? You either work 40 hours or you study. There are parliamentarians passing laws, and this is the net effect of that, where it's almost as if it is, I don't know what Salman thinks, I think it's like a wage adjustment program to bring the wages of the average Canadian down.
Well, the funny thing is I've done political organizing in British Columbia, and it never surprised me because I knew I was getting into. You go to meetings of, a meeting of Sikh men, and every single one of them was the most anti-immigration person you've ever talked to in your life. They're like, I don't know any of these people. They're not my nieces and nephews. Why do I want them here taking a spot in college away from my son or daughter? And so that's where... You're right, and the thing is that the amount of it is turning into an avenue for exploitation. If there's too many people who there's not enough jobs for, it's way easier to exploit people. But maybe Salman, on the issue of Iran and the IRGC, maybe talk about how Canada's immigration system has become a retirement program for members of the IRGC.
Tough question. Anything happened to me, Wyatt is responsible. So, about IRGC, you remember during the Obama administration, we have a terrible deal, JCPOA. In one report, 2,500. In another report, 4,000 U.S. green card, U.S. visa was issued for the IRGC, for the regime's member by Obama administration. It was a part of the side deal between during the JCPOA. Imagine that 4,000 family members of those butchers who killed my people, who shoot to the Canadian citizen in a flight PS752 5 years ago. So imagine those people, 4,000 of them, easily, freely live on US. How many active members of IRGC, according to Globe and Mail, we have in Canada? You should hear about that. Daniel, louder, please. 700. According to what Daniel and Globe and Mail says, 700. But according to my research, is more than that. Very more than that. They are a terrorist, a sleeper cell, something like that. And after the conflict between Israel and the regime in Iran, you think that how regime gonna defend itself? They cannot go after IDF or after US. They're gonna use this sleeper cell on Canadian soil. They're gonna do that. And one of the main resource to enrich and activate this cell is immigration. How it works, I just give you a quick example. So for coming to Canada, you need to have some certain degree, some certain privilege, some certain, let me say that, qualification. Your English grade should be a certain level. You need to have some amount of money in your bank account and all of these criteria, okay? Ordinary people in Iran, even they cannot dream to come to Canada. I was so lucky that after hunger strike, I could manage to come to Canada as a legal immigrant. 2 times I interviewed by UN in Turkey, and 1 time I was interviewed by Canadian embassy in Ankara in Turkey during Jason Kenney was immigration minister at that time. When I say interview, trust me, it was not integration, but it was close to that. They ask every question. They almost cross-examine me. Then they said that, okay, this guy is not a problem maker. We're gonna let him come to the Canada, okay? So these days is not like that. These days is not like that. Are you support terrorism? No. Even if you ask Khamenei, the supreme loser of Iran, are you support terrorism? No. How many people support terrorism? No. Okay, welcome to Canada. This is not the, this is not the vetting immigrants. And IRGC are using that, and we see that in U of the hatred in campaign, at least 2 high-rank IRGC commanders were identified. We see that
because this is something that seriously proposed at one point. What do you think about the idea of getting rid of the English test for immigration?
terrible.
It's like, I'm Punjabi. I love my language. I love it. I love Punjabi literature. If you cannot speak English, I say this with full responsibility, these are my views, not of any organization here. Don't come to Canada. Don't come. If you cannot have a decent I'm not saying your accent, your R's should be rolling. No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that. But if you don't have the decency, I'm from Mumbai, right? I would say the same. You cannot speak Marathi? What the hell are you doing in my city, brother?
Well, what it feels like too, when I heard that an MP had proposed that and was pushing that, it's like they're pushing for the ghettoization of Canada in terms of have people form enclaves because they can't speak English, and now it makes it much easier to exploit somebody if they do not have the skills
required. They're not pushing
required.
it. Canada is getting ghettoized. You can play Find the White Man in Brampton as a game. Like, you can. I mean, I play it every day. It's like, white man!
This is not my opinion, just I should say that. I said that if you don't care about freedom, if you support jihad, don't come to Canada.
So if you could propose a policy, a fix right now to the immigration system, what would be the #1 thing that needs to be done? Well, maybe to take one out of contention, minus just saying it needs to be like 80% less right now.
We don't have an actual number for current immigration, but after COVID and after the system was broken by Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, so right now the best things that we can say, which Pierre Poilievre said after several months delay, cut the current immigration to the half, okay, and apply Magnitsky sanction. The things about India that you are saying, which is valid and concerning, but not as much as concerning. India is a democratic country, okay? India doesn't support any terrorism, okay? But for example, Islamic regime, Muslim Brotherhood, Qatar, say it, Chinese regime, CCP, when they abuse immigration system, the danger is two sides. One, we are talking in a security conference. Once is a danger against Canadian security, then the economical side effect that you mentioned, it, inflation, housing crisis, crime, and the other things. So the first thing that they need to do unapologetically, ban all the immigration from Gaza, ban all the immigration that related to IRGC. Don't say that we are monitoring that, we are kicking this IRGC commander out of Canada. We are a free country, we have a responsibility. Put them in a jail. Make them example, no IRGC commander dare to dream even to come to Canada. Not just saying that, oh, 20 IRGC commander wanted to come, we said that please don't come. The fact that they choose Canada, just the fact that after they massacred the people, there is no single human rights violation in Iran that IRGC commanders were not committed. LGBT rights, women's rights, name it, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. All of them was violated. Everything that Canada stands for, the regime in Iran stands against that. Still some member of the regime, they said that, okay, we're gonna go there, maybe we go, maybe we cannot go. And you see that, the Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, one of the biggest city for money laundering. Okay, you think that how they're gonna use this laundered money? They're gonna use it as a fund for acting terrorism on Canadian soil, on the US soil. There is a reason that President Trump rightfully concerned about north border. Fix the border instead of going in a fight with the country that had 10 times larger economy than us. California alone has a bigger economy than the whole Canada. Fix the border. Stop the terrorists from the border. Stop the narco-terrorism. Stop the drug smuggling. Stop illegal immigration. Canada is a free country, and Canada said, welcome to me. I have a right and freedom here, at least up to 2019. Some friends understand what I said, okay? But as long as there is no willing, we have one of the laziest parliament on planet Earth. All of them are in the vacation, okay? System is not working here. Oh, no, honestly, it's a fact. It's a fact. They are in a vacation up to September. How are they gonna fix the immigration system? By working from the home, it should take 8 months, sometimes 1 year to issue a passport and whatever. But if you are a member of IRGC, they can give you a visa just in 2 weeks.
Be kind, maybe they got COVID.
Something is wrong here.
Yeah, so Kushal, what would be your top change for the immigration
The
system?
first thing would be, again, how many of you know that the alleged killer of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founder of Bangladesh, lives in Toronto under police protection for the last 20 plus years? How many of you knew that? Just imagine, this is Canada. The guy who has allegedly killed Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who gave Bangladeshis freedom with the Indians, his killer lives here under police protection.
Yeah. And Olivia Chow is more likely to attend his birthday party than a menorah lighting.
So my solution would be, if you cannot have the housing numbers sorted, you should not have the immigration numbers higher. Second, we have to identify what kind of immigrants do we want. So I was looking at government reports of Canada, whether business-related reports and stuff. So we genuinely need tradesmen in Canada, not Uber drivers. We don't have tradesmen, we have too many Uber drivers. I have nothing against Uber drivers, even I would become one if the opportunity comes. This is not a jibe at that, but I'm trying to raise the point that what we need, we don't get. What we get, we don't need. This is the problem. We have identified everything. The numbers are there, the data is there, but the mainstream media in Canada, and you know the funny thing is there was this nice report last year. You remember the report? We had laughed about it too, about foreign interference from India. They mock the Indian media, and believe me, they deserve it. But then you look at the Canadian mainstream media over here. You know, there's a term in India, we call it Godi media, as in people who are in the lap of the establishment. And they use that word, Godi media, in the foreign interference report, FYI.
Well, here's how out of touch, and before we go to questions, here's how out of touch people in the institutional mainstream media are. I helped run a poll question during the election with this new poll firm, Kolsovsky Strategies, where we asked people, would you be in favor of cutting the amount of immigration to Canada in all categories, PR, TFW, student visas, by 75%? It came back with 75% of people saying yes, including a majority of Liberals and a majority of NDP. And yet, literally, not to bring myself up in this, 4 days ago, I got attacked by this hack paper, the Tyee in British Columbia, who attacked me because, shock, gasp, I think there's too much immigration. These people genuinely in their circles think that that's a radical opinion, to actually, be able to operate a calculator and understand that 220 houses cannot house 1.3 million people.
So one thing it's really dangerous that I would like to focus on this part as well. Most immigrants, especially from a Middle Eastern country, fortunately, unfortunately, we don't have lots of marriage, and we don't have the ability for the young Canadians to produce lots of kids. Okay, imagine that the growth rate between immigrant from Middle East is higher than the growth rate between actual Canadian because they don't like it, lots of rules, lack of testosterone or whatever you're gonna say it, okay? We don't see that. What happened in UK? What happened in UK? Unfortunately, we're gonna see it here in Canada sooner than without. I'm saying, and I keep repeating that, we don't have lack of law. We don't have willing to apply current law. During the COVID, it was a conspiracy that they're gonna follow the depopulation, but you can see that with the new globalist agenda, they are going after Canadian identity. We are a multicultural country, which we should be proud of that. But it doesn't mean that we should remove this ethnicity or the other ethnicity. And when, for example, we go in front of the jihadists in Toronto, you see police doesn't apply the law. Why? Because majority of the police, they have a tie with Pakistan, with Islamic regime, with jihadists. The actual Toronto police officer on the ground, he is a jihadi. He gonna apply the law against the jihadists? No. The infiltration by the institute in the Canadian society, the lack of the growth between actual Canadian, and you see that in 10 years, white people in Canada are gonna be in minority. Canada gonna lose, unfortunately, its identity, unless we have some political party win the majority and do something really aggressively, not just being always politically correct, making both sides happy. No, we need action, and we don't see it in Canada.
With that, that's a great opportunity to go to questions. So if anyone has a question, throw up your hand.
We can't hear you, Andrea.
You've been silenced.
Turn it on.
Is that on now?
This is working now.
I was going to ask if any of you can confirm what I'd heard is that even though the government announced it was reducing the number of immigrants substantially, I had heard that in the first 6 months of this year Canada's already received over 800,000. Is that true?
That is technically true. It's more so what happened was that number includes temporary foreign worker and student visa renewals. But it's still a problem when this is an issue with the immigration system we need to touch on. Temporary is only like some mythical concept that we can't understand, and so people can just keep renewing year after year after year, and you're like, you're 10 years into a 3-year temporary foreign worker visa.
Yeah, listen, what has happened in the immigration system is the number that has changed is the lapse of status. So let's say there are 100,000 people that were on visa X. What has happened is those visas have expired. It doesn't mean necessarily most of those people have left. They're just in the process of finding either a renewal, which in many cases might be a genuine case, or they're going to be suddenly gay. So that's what is happening.
Madam here, I don't want to overstay, my welcome here in Ontario. I'm from Quebec, but I want to make a few points. One, in Quebec, the government has screening process. You have to know French to get a immigration license to be migrating to Quebec. They give that certificate. Maybe Canada should consider it also. The language should be one of the criteria. More importantly, inconsistency with the theme against extremism. There should be an interview process that are the potential immigrants accept and respect the values of Canadian Charter, Constitution, those sort of things.
No, there is a language requirement in Brampton too. You have to speak Punjabi.
Thank you, jokes aside. But seriously, when I migrated, I had about an hour and a half of interview in the immigration office. If they were subjected to, are the ladies who are migrating willing to accept equality of women as a right? The men who are coming, are they willing to accept the equality of right? And those who don't and cannot fit with the society, are they willing to be, let's say, deported back? Okay, having made that point, my invitation is going to be, I'm chairman of Bharat Bhavan Foundation. One of my reasons for coming here was to spot all the talent here today, and I have taken contacts. Next year, you all are going to be getting an invitation for a forum under Building the Bridges for a Better Community, Anti-Racism and Radicalism Forum in Montreal. I hope you guys make it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to clarify something. A lot of people think that when you apply for immigration in Canada, you don't have to fill any paperwork. As someone who has literally done this 3 years ago, I can tell you there is a lot of paperwork. It is just that there are certain criteria that are inside the immigration system of Canada where you don't have to do it. That there is a difference. The difference being I have to submit 3 years of my income tax records. I have to submit a genuine police clearance certificate. I have to submit that I can sustain myself in terms of X bank balance, and that bank balance has to go back a long way. There was a litany of paperwork that I had to do to move to Canada. Forget that. For my parents to come over here on a tourist visa, my parents had to go through a giant amount of paperwork. This is a myth that there is no paperwork. The paperwork is for the people who have a conscience. The problem is that the ones who know they don't have a conscience, they know what to do and how to circumvent the system. The problem is you have to stop the circumventing of the system. And that is aided and abetted, unfortunately, by Canadian members of parliament. So what happens is the Canadian members of parliament, your ire should be at the parliamentarian, you take it out on the immigrant. That's the problem.
Thank you for the discussion. I just wanted to give people a bit background about immigration in this country that started and fueled since 2012, 2013. It is the extent of the diploma colleges that people just, there were colleges in the malls and people come in the hordes. I want to make a point that I believe that the fault of the mass immigration lies in the hands of the government. It was the policymakers, and they incentivize this behavior, and also the Canadian culture right now, which is going through this victim Olympics and who can be a bigger victim every day. Both of this combined is what we are here for, like why this problem has so exasperated. And when the diploma colleges were like started up, this program came about in 2012 or 2011, where you study in Canada for 2 years, you get a 3-year work permit, and then after that you can apply for a permanent residence, and then you can become a Canadian. So the public institutions, the private colleges, the policymakers, everybody kind of decided that this is the way that they can make money and they can fuel growth in the society. Daniel and I call about this fake growth in numbers because it doesn't really help people. In 2017-18, the Canadian government spent special money, like they commissioned a training where they were incentivizing agents in Punjab to send students to Canada. Because the Chinese who were coming in 2014-13 and Saudis were gone. And that's, I think, one of the major reasons why we are stuck here with this amount of people, and they wanted to be study here in the diploma mills, which are not actually studying anything. So that's my point about that.
So I just want to make this point as someone who still lives for a while in India. Why does Canada have 2 consulates in India? Okay, can somebody answer that? Why? Okay, I get the High Commission is there in Delhi.
CCP?
No, there is one in Chandigarh.
People can't hear you.
So the reason there is a special consulate in Chandigarh is for all these nefarious activities that happen. You really want to fix mass immigration in Canada? Just shut the Chandigarh consulate down.
And that's the point that you had made previously.
So shut them down too.
Yeah. The point you'd made previously is that the immigrants themselves has become victims effectively of like the lie of prosperity, that we have a cap of bringing in 500,000, these days it's 400,000 new permanent residents, because there's probably so much opportunity there that they're bringing in hundreds of thousands of people, and they're going to try, immigration lawyers and whatnot can try and make it very easy, but it's not, there's no jobs on the other side. So
the most of the immigration that happens over here, please remember this, it is a gateway to the United States of America. So not only are people migrating for Canada, most of them are actually migrating for Canada to go to America. I don't want to break anyone's heart over here, but we're not that special. They know they can game the system in Canada far more effectively than America, and they come over here and then they go to America from Canada. So that's something
And
we should know.
Bad actors know that. The regime know that. Putin's regime know that. CCP knows that. Khalistani extremism, they know that. They come to Canada, and there is a reason that our southern neighbor is worried about northern border.
Given the time, I'm sorry, gentlemen, we can take one more question,
one more.
and then we're having a coffee break. Only 15 minutes, and then we'll ask you to be back in the room. Please,
Hello.
sir, go ahead.
So, just very quick one. You touched the subject of immigration, and I'm going to just ask or discuss a point here on a vertical of immigration, refugee system. So, with a lot of respect for our refugee system, we have great stories. If you go back 10 years ago and further on, but in the last 5 years, I think this is another broken system, big time, big time. We had floodgates open with refugees, which were brought in numbers in the tunes of 50,000. And I mean, the idea of all this is, yes, we want to care and support all these immigrations and, filling up all these sections, but also to fill up the provinces which are actually lacking those people. But these refugees were all dumped into so-called GTA, disturbing the economy. Not only that, it's shocking the whole, I think it kind of shock. You bring a set of immigrant from one country, 30, 40,000, give them Canada Goose jackets and all that stuff at the airport, and then you put them all in one society here. And that's kind of a shock you give to the society instead of them blending into it. On top of that, my kind of question is, do you think we're going to come out of this economical pressure which we are facing? If you go around and look around all the small, mid-sized motel, they're all filled with people who are funded. I'm told I think it cost the government about somewhere in the tunes of $1 million, either a day or a month. I could be wrong, but I'm told that this is the amount of money being funded, which is great. After COVID, the government wanted to support the hospitality sector. They brought all these people to show their care, and now they're committed for like whole year, and these people usually don't work. I mean, majority of them, what I know, and it's kind of shocked the whole society. What do you think about these policies, and which has actually also another broken system of part of the immigration?
I think Canada's economic policy is messed up. Where the reason why do you need so many diploma mills in Brampton? If you really had a functioning economic system, you would incentivize different businesses. The reason you have 80 diploma mills is it's a quick cash grab.
Well, it's like fraud's become a business, a really big business in Canada, because there's no growth in anything else. It's like, I don't want to be like simplistic about it, but if you literally cut taxes, so many problems in Canada would be solved. But we like handcuff ourselves with terrible economic policies, and they're like, well, the only way we're going to jog the economy is by importing as many people as humanly possible, because it gets the GDP up, even though per capita incomes are going down.
The biggest problem is
Per capita goes down.
The economic system over here is messed up. You cannot have an economy where 25% of your population is hired by the government, 25% of your economy is real estate. That's not a real economy. That sounds a lot like Pakistan.
And 1/3 of your income goes to the pocket of government?
Because that's what the Pakistani economy is, real estate.
I think the symbolic moment too on the refugee part, I think the symbolic moment when the refugee system died was probably when we repatriated those ISIS fighters into Canada. They were technically brought in as refugees, but effectively that's what it was. The idea that this person is a refugee of their own violence, that we need to bring them back from Iraq or Syria because, they made it a pretty crappy place. So, let's give them a corner office here.
That's really terrible. Imagine that a guy like me escaped from the persecution by the IRGC, then IRGC claimed a refugee status in Canada. Once we see them in the prison, now we see them in Canada.